Another reading vlog. I'm very excited about this one. I'm not actually sure who I saw do this originally, but I just thought it was such a good idea. So we're gonna get a random color generator to choose our book. So for example, if the color lands on green, I'll have to read a book with a green cover. Hopefully I actually have like most of the colors that do come up, but I just thought it was a good way to get through my physical TBR. So you know what, let's just get straight into it and see what our first read is and what our first color is. Just typed in random color generator and it did come up this very fancy wheel. I don't know if I have all these colors, but I mean it goes into a lot of detail. So there's like blood orange, light orange, orange, you know, deep orange, I don't know. But if it does land on one like that, we're just gonna go for orange. Like, we're not gonna go into the details, but yeah, I think we will just use this one and hope for the best. Let's just spin it and see what we land on. Okay, so we landed on pink. I don't know if you can see that because of the reflection. And I didn't want to say in case it jinxed it, but I really wanted pink to come up because I did actually start a book yesterday and there is multiple colours on this cover, but whenever I look at this, I see the pink. I don't know if you agree, but we're just gonna go with it because I did start this yesterday. I was only 48 pages in, but yeah, I really wanted pink to come up in this video and I'm so happy that it came up first. So I am going to start reading, well, continue reading kind of, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This book is about two people that have basically a curse on them that every person they date, whenever they break up, that person goes on to find their soulmate. And the main guy in this posts this kind of like problem that he's having on Reddit, and our main girl sees this and realizes that she also has the same problem. So she contacts him and basically they end up with a sort of plan to fake date and fake break up to hopefully cancel each other out, and then hopefully they will go and find their soulmates. So it's fake dating, and honestly I haven't got like that far into it, but it is kind of quick into like them meeting and stuff, or them speaking, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. Like, I just got straight into the story, there was no messing around, and I'm really enjoying her writing style. I haven't read any of this author's books before, but I probably should have read this one first, Yours Truly, because I know that the main like two people in this book were definitely mentioned at the start of this one, because I do know what that one's about, and yeah, there was a description of them at the start of this book. So I mean, they are probably interconnected standalones, like I don't think it's spoilers or anything, but yeah, if you wanted to do it in order, then I would read her other books before reading this one. I just feel like this is giving such summery vibes, and that's the kind of books I'm wanting right now. It's getting warmer outside, and yeah, I'm just feeling my summer romances, and I'm really happy that I've picked up this author because I've heard amazing things about her, and honestly I can see why. I really feel like she's giving Emily Henry style, and I know I'm only 50 pages in or so, but I can see this book being a 5-star. So we got pink. Let's continue reading this book and hopefully finish it soon, because yeah, it's just so good. About 50% through this book, I would say, and one thing that I love about this, and honestly one thing that I love about a lot of romances, is whenever the main characters have something else like going on in their life other than, you know, like the love interest. Like, I love when it's not all focused on the romance, because I feel like whenever books are all just about the romance and the relationship, it just gets so boring and it feels very unrealistic. And in this book, I mean, the two main characters have pretty like heavy stuff going on in their life, but I feel like it's also quite realistic. Like, this stuff 100% could be, you know, going on, and very relatable for some people, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of it because you're also following their lives too, and the whole book just isn't about their relationship. Like I feel like I'm very, very interested to see what happens in their lives with, I don't want to like say too much, but like I want to know how things get sorted with the side characters. And yeah, I just really, really like that aspect of it. I always feel like whenever I love a romance, I also love the side characters. Like every single 5-star romance that I found, and I feel like most of those are Emily Henry books, it's because of the side characters a lot of the time. I just feel like it adds a lot more depth to the story, and yeah, it just makes it very, very interesting. I am really enjoying this book. I don't know if I'm getting a 5-star feeling, but I really think it's because I'm like not fully in a reading mood right now, and it's not because of the book or like just reading in general. I just feel like I have so much going on. This week I've been so overwhelmed. Like I really haven't read in a few days. This is maybe 3 or 4 days later than my original like intro for this video, and it honestly is because the wedding is less than a month away now, and I'm just every night trying to figure out stuff for that. So I've been very overwhelmed, and last night I literally had a mentee bee to my fiance, my poor fiance. He had to basically console me all night. It wasn't that bad, but like I was very emotional, and I'm just really overwhelmed, and I feel like I'm reading this book and I'm loving it, but I'm so distracted as well. I feel like I can't fully immerse myself in it, whereas I feel like if I was reading this on my honeymoon next month, I would be giving this a 5-star. And I mean, I might still, I don't know how it's going to end, and again, I am loving the story. It's just the mindset that I'm in right now. It's definitely like a high 4-star rating, but we'll see. I would love to finish this today. I don't know if I will though. I do have like 250-ish pages maybe to go. But yeah, I mean, I read like 150 pages today so far, and it's still early in the day, so we never know. I think I am going to continue reading this book for maybe like an hour or so, and then I might just chill for a bit, play my Animal Crossing, and get back to this one maybe tonight. We'll just see how it's going and see how much I want to binge, basically. I finished Just for the Summer yesterday, and this book was so good. Like I just love in a romance, I don't know if I said this already, whenever both of the main characters already have something else going on in their lives, and I just really think that that pulled this book together so much. Like you got to know the side characters really well, and I do think some of the characters in this book, like Neil, he was definitely in another book of hers, but I don't think like you need to read any of the other books to read this one. They're definitely all interconnected standalones, but I just loved how much character each of the other characters had in it. Like they just had a lot of depth, and I really loved that about this book. I loved the romance as well. I thought that this was very realistic, and it talks about mental health quite a lot in such a realistic and good way. I feel like these characters, I'm so surprised that they aren't real. Like they feel like friends of mine. I feel like I know them and that they know me. It's just so strange that they are words on paper and that is it. But yeah, I loved this book, and I gave it a 4-star. I did think that I was going to give it a 5-star, but for some reason it just wasn't giving me that 5-star feeling, but I still thought this book was amazing. But yeah, I definitely want to read some more of her books. I think I will read the first 2 of this series, even though, as I said, you definitely don't need to read it because they are all standalones. But it could just be interesting to see, like Neil is a guy in this. He's not like the main character, but he's a heavy side character, I guess, and it would be interesting to see what he was like in the books before, because I think they're set like 20 years maybe beforehand, and yeah, I think he's meant to be like a whole different person. But for sure want to read more of Abby Jimenez's books because the writing style was just amazing, and I really think like if you like Emily Henry, you will love her books, and I've been telling absolutely everybody that in work, and a few people bought this book, so I'm hoping that I will hear back from those customers whenever they do read it, because I just want to talk about this book to so many people. I honestly have no idea what I'm in the mood for now. Like I don't know if I'm feeling like a fantasy or a romance. I don't know if I have many thrillers over on my shelf that I haven't read yet. If you can see them, they're kind of messy. Let's just not talk about it, okay? I mean, they're not too bad, but they aren't looking amazing. I don't know if you can see, I also have like a stack of books just sitting there, so that's not fun as well. But we're not going to organize it today. It's too much effort. But let's get the color wheel sorted. I don't think that's straight now. Why did I move this? Okay. I think that's straight, maybe not. Let's get the colour wheel up and running. I don't know if I'll use the same one as last time because it felt like there was a lot of different shades of colours. Like I think it could just be easier to do the primary colours and secondary colours. That could be a lot easier to work with instead of different shades. You know what I mean? Let's find one that's good. Also, I can see the stain. I was just out for breakfast and clearly I can't sort myself out. This one looks a lot better. I think you can see that. Just as I said, it has the primary colours and secondary colours. So I'll turn up the brightness. Actually, it's fully up. And we'll just spin it, I guess. Can you see this? Okay, blue. I'm literally gonna get all of the blue books that I haven't read and we'll go from there, see what we're working with. I have 4 books here that I think are good contenders. So I don't know a lot about all of these books, but they're just ones that have been sitting on my shelves for quite a long time. So the first one we have is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and honestly I haven't heard like loads about this book, but in my last job I used to run a book club and they did actually read this book. It was a week that I wasn't hosting it and they read this book in the book club and everybody gave it like a 5-star, and it was the kind of group where it was very divided opinions a lot of the time, which most book clubs are like, but everybody loved this book. So ever since then I have wanted to read it, and I did recently get The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna based on Sarah Crowley's opinion on YouTube. She was just talking about it and she really loved that book, but I do know that this one is meant to be heartbreaking, but I'm just really intrigued by it. I think I might be in the mood for this one. But other ones that we also have is Things We Never Got Over, and honestly I bought this book before buying like literally any of these books, so that is how long this book has been on my shelf, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the thickness of it. Like, it is quite a big book for a romance. I don't know a lot about the romance in this book. I just know that so many people love it, and I don't know if I'm overly in the mood for this. I think this could be a really good one to take with me on holiday, which is literally in a few weeks. Oh, I can't wait. But I don't know. I might read this one, but it's just such a holiday book for me. Like, whenever I see this, I'm like, oh, that would be good to read on a beach or something. Oh, I don't know. I need to read the back of all of these to see what I'm really feeling the most. Then we have Unravel Me, and I read Shatter Me, like the first book and the first novella last year, and I loved the first book. Like, I really flew through it, and I think I do need something quite fast-paced at the minute, but I just have never continued the series. But I really enjoyed the writing style in it, and I don't think it's a bad series at all from what I've read so far. And I just think the concept of this series is so interesting. But am I in the mood for it? Possibly. I think so far I'm feeling The Four Winds the most, and maybe this one's second. I do think I'm gonna leave Things We Never Got Over for my honeymoon. But then we also have Daisy Hates, which I know this book is gonna be a 5-star. Like, I just feel it in my bones, but I'm like, do I want to read it now? Like, is this the best possible moment for me to read this? Because I know it's gonna be so good. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, I'm like, I need the perfect setting to read a book that I know is going to be amazing. I don't know. I do love Magnolia Parks. Like, Magnolia Parks changed me. I loved it so much. And one of my colleagues is reading this series too, and I'm like, oh, I really want to talk about it. But I just don't know if I'm in like the right mood for this. Like, it needs to be perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, does anybody else feel that way? Okay, I literally spent the last 20 minutes trying to decide what book to read next, and I think I'm gonna go for Unravel Me, because I read the back of this and I feel like it's giving more romanticy. Like, I feel like this is the book where the romance picks up, and I could be wrong, but just like reading the back of this, it kind of sounds like it. And I do kind of want to get into the series again. I have this thing where I start series and I don't finish them, and that is a goal of mine. No, the goal of mine this year is to finish series. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do that. Hopefully I love this book and just want to continue the rest of it, because I do have all of the books just sitting there and I have had them for so long. So yeah, we're just gonna get straight into this. I don't overly remember how the first one ended, but Again, I don't want to give any spoilers, so I might not give like a lot of updates on the plot of this, but I will let you know how I'm feeling about this book. I don't remember if I gave Shatter Me a 4-star or not. I think it might have been like a 3.5 because it was the start of the series and I feel like you were just getting to know the characters, but I remember like quite a lot from that book, so it's kind of nice that I can just go into this and not really have to worry about different characters and stuff. I think I'll be able to fall back into the series very, very quickly and very easily. I'm only 18 pages in and there's already a bit of a spicy scene going on. Very, very quick. Actually, the more I read, it's kind of making me cringe a little bit. Like, the way the writing is, like, for example, there is a line where it says our lips and then it takes a break and says touch. And I'm just like, I'm cringing a little bit. Like, our lips touch. It's just reminding me of a Ruby Kaur poem, and I don't know, it is making me cringe, but I mean, so far so good. I'm literally 20 pages in, so I have no thoughts other than this so far. Okay, it's been a few days since I picked up Unravel Me, and that's not the book's fault. I've just had such a busy week, but I don't know how I'm feeling about this. Like, this book is just, it's really making me cringe a lot. It's just the writing style is, and I know it's young adult, but I think it's just very, very young for me at the minute. And yeah, it's just making me cringe in moments, but the storyline is very good. Like, whenever I am reading this, I am flying through it. I'm 120 pages in now, and like, I don't want to put it down. It's just some parts of the writing, as I said, they're just a little bit cringy, but the story is still very intriguing, so we're gonna keep on reading this. I don't want to say too much about the plot because it is the second book in the series, so I don't really know if much would give anything away for the first book, but we're just gonna avoid talking about the plot because I just don't want to spoil the book for anybody.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words,
saw last night, I decided to DNF Unravel Me, and honestly, I never usually DNF a book, but that one was just taking me so long to get through, and I think I got to maybe around page 200, and the writing style just really isn't for me. I thought that it was maybe a bit, like, I know it's a young adult book, but I just think that it's very much like aimed at maybe 13, 14-year-olds to enjoy it, which is obviously like what it's targeted for, but yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't connect with the writing at all. I was enjoying the story, but I just couldn't see past the writing. I felt like it was more just telling me absolutely everything that was going on, and it just got pretty boring to read in my opinion. But I got halfway through it and I was enjoying the story, so I did look up what happens in the rest of the book, and I'm honestly kind of glad that I DNF'd it. I did see where it was going and there was no real surprises there. I obviously know it's a long series, and what happens in the second book isn't going to put me off from maybe continuing the book, or continuing the series. If the writing gets better, then I will definitely enjoy it more, because I think the concept of the book is really, really good and it's original, and yeah, I just think it's a good plot, but the writing just was not for me. I did post on my story last night I posted a photo of the book and I asked people to basically convince me to continue reading it, and quite a lot of people actually agreed with the writing style and they also found it a struggle to get through. But then there was other people saying that it's a 5-star read for them, and yeah, it was just very, very conflicting, but I just wasn't enjoying myself, so I decided to DNF. And I feel like because I read a good amount of the book and I know what happens, I did still decide to rate it, so I give it a 2-star, because I really think if I finished that book I still would have given it a 2-star just purely on the writing, and I just found it quite boring at times. Then again, as you saw, I continued the colour wheel and we got pink, so I decided to pick up Flawless by Elsie Silver, and I actually ended up buying the whole series the other day. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but they're on my shelf there, and that's because I really want to read Wild Love, but I don't think you need to read this series to read Wild Love, or I think they're all standalones, but they're interconnected standalones, and I just want to know all of the characters going into every single book, if you know what I mean. Like, so if the characters from this book show up in another book, I think I'll just enjoy it more. Going into this, I had absolutely no idea what it was about. I wasn't sure if they were all cowboy related, but you can kind of see on this there's like a cow pin thing. I actually have no idea, but it's giving cowboy whenever you really look at it. So the main guy in this one is called Rhett, and he's basically this, I would say, famous cowboy. He gets a lot of ads and a lot of sponsorships, and he's making a lot of money. And literally in the very first few pages of this book, we discover that he has this sponsorship with a milk company, and a video goes around of him basically confessing that he hates milk and that he hates this brand that he's working with. So he loses that deal. So his agent then sends the agent's daughter to go and work with Rhett to basically babysit him almost and make sure that he gets into no more trouble. And the story just kind of goes from there. I'm only 38 pages into it. So the girl that goes to look after him essentially is called Summer, and nothing has happened yet, but I also did look up some TikToks of this book to kind of get me in the mood to read it, because Unravel Me definitely put me in a bit of a reading slump and I just needed some motivation. So whenever I looked up some TikToks, I did not realise how spicy these books were, and I feel like for 38 pages in, sex has been mentioned like at least 5 times, like even just in passing comments. So I just was not expecting that, and I don't know why. I just didn't know they were like this, but I do like a bit of spice, to be honest. Like, I think it's quite funny to read about. I don't know. Not if it's like overly done, but I do think it's entertaining to read about. So I'm definitely enjoying this book a lot more than Unravel Me, and I really just want to sit and read for like a few hours today and get through a lot of this book. I would love to get like at least halfway. I think they're all quite long books. Maybe around 400 pages. I don't want to like see any spoilers, but yeah, it's about 400-ish pages, and I think that's the same with all of them. But hopefully I love this book and I can get out of this little reading slump that I'm currently in. know if I told you a lot about this book, but I basically started it and finished it yesterday. I know I did start it the night before, but I properly got into it yesterday and I literally could not put this book down. I am now obsessed with cowboys. I am now obsessed with Elsie Silver, and I immediately continued this series today and I'm already 100 pages into that book. So that just tells you how much I enjoyed this. I don't know what was put in this book, but I absolutely loved it. I loved the spice in it as well. I feel like I haven't really read that many spicy books, but this was spicy and I loved it. Like, I am not someone that like hates all that in books. I really don't mind it as long as the romance aspect is still there and it's not overtaking the relationship. Like, I still felt that the relationship in this story was very much believable and it wasn't just all physical. They definitely had an emotional attraction to each other as well, and yeah, it was just so good. I also really wasn't expecting the kind of other storylines that were going on in each of the characters' lives. I really thought this was going to be heavy on just the couple and them as a pair together, but they both very much have their own lives and they both have struggles going on in their lives too. Explain more what this was about. Our main guy, Rhett, he is a bull rider. I don't really know if there's a correct term for that, but he's a cowboy, he rides bulls. Very, very dangerous job, but he is also very famous. And at the start of this book, he loses his main sponsorship. So it just causes a little bit of drama. And his agent basically sends his daughter, the agent's daughter, to go and babysit him. And so Summer is the girl that goes to babysit him, basically. She stays there for a few months and it's just the relationship between them two. And I honestly don't want to give too much away because I went into this book completely blind, literally had no idea what it was about, and I loved not knowing anything. And I really think that's the reason why I gave this book a 5-star. Like, I loved this book and I really didn't think I was gonna rate it that high. I thought maybe like a 4-star, but I really just didn't think that this book would be in the 5-star rating for me. I don't know why, I just didn't have that feeling, but 100% recommend. And I am currently reading the next book and it's about Rhett's brother and Summer's best friend, and I need to know about everybody. I need to read all of their books right now. So that does bring us to the end of this. I'll just quickly do a wrap up of the other books that I read. So the first one was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and I did give this a 4-star. And I think I said whenever I was explaining that it was because I wasn't overly in the mood for a romance or just for reading in general, because I have so much going on at the minute. It's actually crazy, but I do still think I would give this a 4-star. Like, very, very good writing and I loved this book, but it just wasn't giving me that 5-star feeling, and that's completely fine. It's still an amazing book and I really think that this would be a 5-star for a lot of people. This has really made me want to read the rest of the series. I guess is it a trilogy, but it's standalones. It's kind of similar to Flawless, and I do kind of wish that I read the other ones first now, because just reading Flawless, what's this series called, Chestnut Springs, reading this, I know you can go into any books, but it's just nice knowing the characters whenever they pop up here and then. And then I attempted to read Unravel Me, but I did end up DNFing this, and I looked up what happens at the very end of this book and I'm just still very satisfied that I DNF'd it. I just wasn't enjoying the writing. I really liked the plot of this one. It's just, it took me so long to get through and it was just really unmotivating and I wasn't enjoying it at all. However, because I did read quite a lot of this book and I do know what happens at the end of this, I still decided to rate it. So I gave this one a 2-star, and that was purely just because of the writing, and I felt like it was very much aimed at a younger audience. That's kind of controversial to say whenever it's a young adult book. I just felt like it was very young adult for me, and I don't know, maybe I'm just like growing out of my young adult era, which would be so sad because there's so many books that I love in young adult. It's just this one just wasn't for me. I don't know if I'm going to continue this series or not. I'm curious to see what happens like in the plot, but I don't know if I can deal with the writing. But I do have the whole series. I literally bought this box set maybe 2 years ago and I'm only getting around to it now, and I just shouldn't have done that because I didn't even know if I'd like the books, and at the minute I'm not loving. It's sitting at like both books combined, or 3 books because I did read a novella as well. I would say it's sitting at the 3-star mark. However, I didn't feel this strongly about the writing in the first book and the novella, so I think I will give the next one a chance at some point, just not right now. So it's really fun having a colour wheel choose my books for me. I do get quite, like, what's the word? I just don't really know what to read sometimes. Like, whenever I'm not in the mood for one particular book, then I'm looking at my shelves being like, what am I going to choose next? Because there's so many options, because a lot of these books I haven't read. So it's really nice to have a little prompt like the colour wheel to help me along. If you like this video, then please make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video very, very soon.